Assalamu alaikum dear students. This is Amir Hussain. As you know that we are discussing the fourth chapter of history, that is the age of industrialization, and in this chapter we have discussed the first two topics. Now we are going to discuss the third topic, and the name of this topic is industrialization in the colonies. As you know that in the earlier two topics we discussed at length about the industrialization process that occurred in the Europe, especially in this Britain, because Britain was the first industrial nations of the world, and we discussed all that. Now in this we are going to discuss industrialization in the colonies with special reference to India. Our special reference would be India, or we are going to take up the case of India in this industrialization. As you know that India was a colony, it was colony of British, right? So how industrialization process took place in the colonies, especially in India, we will look into that in this chapter, sorry, in this topic. And in this topic we will also look into both factory industries as well as into non machinized sector. That means we will discuss in this topic both machine industries, machine sector, as well as the non-machinized sector. What is that non-machinized sector? Non-machinized sector means traditional industries. We will discuss both of them. We will discuss traditional industries. We will discuss first these factory industries as well as these traditional industries, both these sectors, and we will also go look into this chapter this in these two industries. But our focus will remain mainly, we will focus mainly on textile industries, textile industries of India, right? How a colony like India is industrialized, how it saw period of industrialization, how the process of industrialization occurred in the colonies like India. We will discuss that, but our focus will remain mainly on these textile industries of India. So let us begin this topic now. First we will look into age of Indian textiles. Age of Indian textiles. So age of Indian textiles, as it speaks itself, there was a period when the Indian textiles they dominated. We will discuss that in this, especially before industrialization or before industrial revolution. Yeah, industrialization. Before industrialization, India, Indian cotton and silk textiles had dominated international trade. They had dominated the international market. So first point is that before this age of machines, before the age of machine factories, machine industries, first India was famous throughout world for its cotton and silk textiles, And these Indian cotton and silk textiles, they had dominated the international market, international trade for a long time. And this Indian trade, especially these Indian cotton textiles, if we look into that, as the coarser cotton, the coarser cotton is wire produced in many countries, right? Coarser cottons were produced in many countries, but what India was famous for, actually, finer varieties were produced mainly in India. These mainly came from India. So in many countries, coarser cottons were produced, but the fine quality of cotton, fine varieties of cotton, they were produced only in India. And India was famous for these cotton and silk goods throughout India. And Indian cotton and silk goods, they had dominated the international trade, especially in terms of textiles. So this was first important point. And second important point is that pre-colonial period, in pre-colonial period, India had a vibrant sea trade. In the pre-colonial period, that is before the Britishers, before the age of this machine industries, Indian India had a vibrant sea trade. India का vibrant sea trade था, and that trade was carried mainly through various ports, and among them mention may be made of important ports such as Surat, Mesolipatnam, Mesolipatnam, and third was Hooghly. These were three main ports where this India used to carry its sea trade. India had a vibrant trade, and many ports were famous for this sea trade of India. Among them mentioned may be made of Surat, and Surat port, as you know, it lies on गुजरात कोस्ट, ये गुजरात के साहिली समंदर पे है. Similarly, this Mosalipatam, this port is on the Coromandel coast. हाँ, ये Coromandel coast में है. And third, Hooghly is actually in Bengal. ये बंगाल में है. So these three ports were famous, and these three ports, they had trade links. They had trade links with Southeast Asian ports. So these three ports, they were connected with the Southeast Asian ports, and they had trade links with the Southeast Asian ports. So India had a vibrant trade. The point is that India, before British rule, before the colonial period, had a vibrant sea trade, and there are a number of ports which were famous, and these ports, they connected India with the Southeast Asian ports, and they had trade links with all these Southeast Asian ports. A large number of a large number of Indian merchants and bankers were involved in this trade. In this This was export trade. So many people of India, they were involved, like large number of Indian merchants and also bankers. They were involved in this trade. They were engaged in this trade, and these people and supply merchants, they were very important, and these supply merchants, they connected or they linked the port towns. They connected port towns and with the inland regions. These supply merchants, the merchants who were supplying goods, these merchants, they acted as a link. They connected the towns, town ports, those ports which were in towns, they connected those ports with the inland regions, those regions which were having inland this connectivity. They connected them, they connected these two, that is, they connected port towns and inland regions. So, and they used to give, or they gave advances to weavers. Also, they procured the woven cloth from the weaving villages, and also they carried the supply. They carried the supply to the ports. These people, these supply merchants, what they used to do, they used to give advances. ये लोन्स देते थे वीवर्स को, फिर वीवर्स से ये क्लोथ्स जो है हासिल करते थे उनके वीविंग विलेज जाकर, एंड देन दे कैरीड these weaving clothes to the they used to carry that supply to the port. ये ports पे फिर ले जाए जाते हैं, ports पे ले जाए जाते थे ये सारी and at the ports पे क्या होता था, at the ports there were big shippers, वहाँ पे big shippers होते थे, there were big shippers and also export merchants. There were big shippers and export merchants, and these export merchants had brokers. ठीक, एंड दीज ब्रोकर्स, ये जो ब्रोकर्स बीच में होते थे ये क्या करते थे, दीज ब्रोकर्स दे यूज टू नेगोशिएट, दे यूज टू नेगोशिएट द प्राइसेस, ये प्राइसेस को नेगोशिएट करते थे, दाम जो है दाम फिक्स करवाना इन्हीं ब्रोकर्स का काम होता था, और ये ब्रोकर जो है ये हमेशा सप्लाई मर्चेंट्स के वहाँ पे इन्हीं पोर्ट्स पे होते थे, और पोर्ट्स पे ये एक्सपोर्ट मर्चेंट्स भी होते थे, और वहाँ पे इनके साथ दाम फिक्स करना ये इन्हीं का काम होता था, एंड आल्सो ब्रॉट गुड्स फ्रॉम द सप्लाई मर्चेंट्स. जो सप्लाई मर्चेंट्स इनलैंड्स में इनलैंड्स के थ्रू ऑपरेट होते थे, उन्हीं से फिर क्या करते थे, ये जो ब्रोकर्स होते थे, ब्रोकर्स उनसे गुड्स लेते थे उन सप्लाई मर्चेंट से, और फिर ये गुड्स जो है ये देते थे किनको, ये इन्हीं एक्सपोर्ट मर्चेंट्स को देते थे, और इनके साथ नेगोशिएशंस भी करते थे प्राइस वगैरह की. सो दिस वाज इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. दिस वाज ऑल अबाउट कि हाउ दिस in what kind of trade India had, the vibrant trade that India had before the Britishers, before the age of machine and these industries, before industrial revolution. India had, the point is that India had a vibrant trade, India had a flourishing trade, and many people were involved in this trade. This whole trade was under the control of Indian merchants. Indian merchants, they controlled this trade. ये जो ये वाइब्रेंट ट्रेड था ये इंडियन मर्चेंट्स के अंडर था, इन्हीं के कंट्रोल में था टिल 1750s तक. हाँ, and after 1750s what happened actually, after 1750s this the control of Indian merchants started breaking down. It started breaking down. The Indian merchants who controlled the vibrant trade of India till 1750s, finally they started losing their control from 1750s. And why? The reason was because of the growing power of European companies. The growing power of European companies. As you know, many European companies, they came to India with the purpose of trade. Among them, first important company that came is Portuguese. Second was this East India Company, है ना, East India Company. Likewise, third was Dutch, French, so Danish. So many companies came to India, etc., etc. So they came to India with the purpose of trading, and because of their growing power, Indians started losing their control. Indian merchants, especially, they started losing their control over their vibrant trade from 1750s. These European companies, they started demanding concessions, and they got concessions earlier in the form of dastakas. Dastakas were given to them. Dastakas were permitters to have this duty-free trade, and also they, from the local ruler, they got these things, they secured these things, and also finally they demanded this monopoly rights to trade, and they finally got these rights to trade. And it was because of this misuse of dastaks that you might have heard this battle of Plassey was fought, and the main cause for that was misuse of dastakas, because dastakas were given to them revenue free. These they were given permit, they were given to them duty free permit, sorry, and they misused these dastakas, and which led to the loss of revenue to the Nawab of Bengal, that is Sirajuddaula, and it resulted in the Battle of Plassey, and you might have heard all these things. And finally, they got monopoly rights. They got the rights to have this trade in India, and this was and Diwani rights, which is called the Diwani rights to have trade in India, especially in Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. So this is very important thing. And what happened then? These European companies, they altered. These European companies altered the course of Indian trade. They altered the course of Indian trade. They altered the course of Indian trade. इन्होंने इस Indian trade को completely change कर दिया, and they operated trade through new ports. New ports began to emerge like Bombay, and Calcutta. Bombay and Calcutta, these two ports became important. They gained importance during the British rule, during when the power of these European companies began to increase. So and they operated new ports now. As you know that these old ports they lost their importance and new ports they emerged, like Bombay and Calcutta. This shift in Indian trade, this shift in Indian trade, it resulted in decline of old ports. The old ports, like this Surat and Hooghly, they lost their importance, they declined, and new ports like Bombay and Calcutta they emerged, they gained prominence, and no wonder, uh, no wonder by it has been said, it has been estimated that in the last years of 17th century, in the last years of 17th century, the gross value of trade, that means Indian trade, that passed through Surat, it had been RS 16 million. ये 16 मिलियन था, 16 मिलियन था ये ट्रेड है 17th सेंचुरी, लास्ट ईयर्स ऑफ 17th सेंचुरी। अगर आप देखोगे जो ग्रास वैल्यू था इंडियन ट्रेड का, जो पास हो रहा था कहाँ से, जो पास हो रहा था सूरत से, उस ट्रेड को अगर आप देखोगे, वो ट्रेड जो है वो ट्रेड फेमस था, उसका ग्रास वैल्यू जो था वो 16 मिलियन था, एंड सेम वैल्यू डिक्लाइनड, ये डिक्लाइन हो गया, इट डिक्लाइनड from this 16 million to RS 3 million by 1740s। हाँ, ये बहुत अजीब बात है कि जो ट्रेड 16 मिलियन था, जिसका ग्रास वैल्यू 16 मिलियन था सूरत ट्रेड का इन द लास्ट ईयर्स ऑफ 17th सेंचुरी, वही 1740s में क्या हो गया, वही 1740s में डिक्लाइन हो गया और ये 3 मिलियन तक रहा। सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द this topic, that is the age of Indian textiles. Hope you have understood this topic well. Thank you.